Hi, my name is Max,
Hi, I'm Sia.
and welcome to Money Matters. So today we're going to be talking about insurance, something that affects the community in a positive and a negative way as well. So I'm joined with Sia. We're going to be discussing it in detail, just the myths and all the things that spook people about insurance, and I think it's a very important topic for us to have. So Sia, what are the myths that you've heard about life insurance within our community?
I mean, some of the most popular ones are when you mention life insurance to like an auntie, she might say, "Oh, you're bringing the spirit of death in my house," or you think I'm gonna die very soon." I've also heard that the religious element, in which people will start saying, "Oh, Christ is my insurance," or "God is my insurance." They believe that because they believe in a higher power, whether that's Christianity or Islam, that they don't need insurance, that they're covered by their higher power. So yeah, those are some of the popular ones that I've heard.
Okay. Have you had any personal experiences, or have you had friends that you know that have been affected by not having insurance in place due to these myths?
Yeah, definitely. I think like one of the most common issues that I found is, for example, I had a friend and she has quite a lot of different illnesses, and because she has quite a lot of illnesses, she thought she wouldn't be able to get cover. And then eventually she ended up losing her sight, and she didn't have anything in place. So she didn't have any income protection in place, which meant
No income.
no income, and she had to stop working. And then the treatment for her eyes is in a completely different country. They don't offer it here. And I told her that that could have been covered with an insurance provider, and she didn't even know. So I think the lack of knowledge and the cultural myths all kind of intertwine into one. So yeah, I've had quite a lot of experience with people that have been affected by no policies in place.
Okay, so let's break down the whole myth
Yeah.
thing first before we dig deeper. You know, let's go with the first one, which you mentioned was parents.
Parents.
Our aunties, our mothers.
Saying that you're calling death into the house.
Calling death into the house. Do you know how many families that I've bumped into that have said to me that Jesus is their insurance and Christ is their insurance, or God is their insurance?
Yeah.
And later on something has happened and then the whole family's in disarray. That has happened countless of times. And to the point that because I've been I've had personal contact with these families, it's made me feel somehow guilty for not pushing harder.
So if I'm someone that believes in, let's say we're going to use Christianity as an example, yeah?
Right.
If I'm someone that's a believer and I'm someone that goes to church every Sunday, and I've been taught faith and I've been taught that, you know, I need to rely wholeheartedly on God, how do you now separate that when it comes to insurance? I'm playing devil's advocate, but how do we separate that for the individual in terms of, okay, cool, your faith should be in God, and yeah, we pray that nothing happens, but yeah, like how do we position that to that person, or how would you help that person?
Right. So it's like almost saying, because my faith is in God so much, I shouldn't even have a need to go to the hospital. Or when a woman is pregnant, because she's a Christian, must she not go to the hospital for them to deliver the baby? If I'm a Christian, does it exempt me from getting a professional's advice on something I'm feeling within my body? What I'm trying to say is that wisdom must be applied in everything you do. And remember, Christianity is a lifestyle and a relationship with Christ, but it doesn't exempt you from applying wisdom on earth.
On earth, yeah.
Do you understand? Because God has given you a physical body for you to take care of on purpose. You must shower. Because I'm a Christian, must I not shower? You must shower. You must take care of yourself. And it's the same thing with insurance. A lot of people say it's like paying for peace of mind.
Yeah.
You know, paying to know that my family will be fine if anything is to happen to myself. Does that make sense?
No, that definitely makes sense. I think as we break it down, as people will learn over the duration of the episodes, you'll learn more and more, and you'll be more enlightened, hopefully. But I think that is something that's very strong in our community. Not just religious, but cultural can sometimes be even more strong than the religious background, because cultural is what you have been taught. It's almost like a doctrination of your mind.
Brainwashed.
So yeah, we're almost brainwashed. So I had a previous client who said to me, you know, my mom never spoke to me about life insurance. My dad never spoke to me about life insurance. Nobody ever had. So I didn't even know what it was. And she said to me, I thought it was only for white people.
Can you imagine?
She never thought that that was something that was applicable to her, which sounds so wild, but that's the purpose of this show, Money Matters, to educate and enlighten and obviously have you guys know that everybody should be covered in some way, shape or form.
So you're saying that your friend or your client thought that this was only for a certain ethnicity?
Yeah, certain race.
A certain
because
race.
she's only ever seen it associated to that race. Whenever she's heard of insurance, I think she mentioned The Wolf of Wall Street, the film. She said I didn't see any black people there. I didn't see anyone that looked like me, sounded like me. So I didn't think it was anything to do with me. When she was talking about it more in depth, I actually understood what she was saying in terms of like banking and finance and savings. In the black community, it's not something that we talk about on a day-to-day basis. And if you didn't learn it from your parents, who do you learn it from? You don't learn it at school.
Are you saying that it's a parent's duty to actually start, or is it the school's duty to teach?
No, I think it's the parents. I think
on making sure you have a backup plan, like
yeah.
insurance.
I think I learned about insurance from my mum. So luckily for me, my mum wasn't, you know, culturally, I don't want to use the wrong term, but she was aware, financially aware, very financially aware, and she taught me about insurance. When I had my daughter, she said to me, listen, I've got insurance in place, I've got savings, and I have a pension, and I have a private pension. These are all the things that you need to be set up. And she made it clear to me that insurance was something that I needed to have as a safety net, even if I had she got healthy savings, but she's made it clear to me that it was still important. And one thing she always said was that you always pay in less than what you get back out. And that's one thing that always stuck with me.
You know, I had a friend that said to me, he doesn't feel comfortable bringing the concept of insurance to his parents because he doesn't want them to feel like he's setting up their death, like he's the one that will now kill them.
And the problem with that is?
I mean, I have to talk about African parents first, or black parents, because they have this thing of, if your child now brings to you, like let's say your son or your daughter brings to you the idea of insurance, like, mommy, I think you should get insurance. What would be going through your mind? Because I also want to understand the psyche behind the whole parent reaction and all that stuff.
I think it's a relationship you have with your child, because first of all, meeting my dad, I phoned my dad and I said to my dad, do you have insurance in place? And he was like, yeah, I have one, but it's not for much. I said, yeah, we need to add another one, because if something happens to you, I don't want to be left with your funeral costs. But that's because we have a great relationship and we are able to banter. But he's also very aware that I'm not joking. You want me to take your body back home, right? That burden can't be on me. You need to be responsible for your life whilst you're alive and in death. So I think it's definitely the relationship. But if my child said to me, you know, mom, you need cover, I think as a parent, I'm going to be inclined to be, it's my responsibility. I don't want, and this is no offense to anyone that's had to do this, because this is part of life and it's a part of learning, but I personally wouldn't want something to happen to me and my child has to go online and do a GoFundMe. I'm sorry. No, that means I have done something wrong. And I'm talking about me as an individual, how I see life. I feel like I would have done something wrong if I have left this earth and I've left the financial burden on my child. My mortgage needs to be paid, or this needs to be paid, and I've left it all to my child because I haven't put anything in place for myself. So I think that's how my mom and dad saw it as well. So it wasn't an issue for me, but I think it's relationship. If you don't have a great relationship with your parent and then you've gone to them to say,
they'll think you're trying to flog them.
Of course.
Yeah.
So we're both African, but we're both from different countries, and
different.
I think every different country has different cultures. So tell us a little bit about, or tell the viewers a little bit about the culture, your background, your cultural background, and like, you know, the conversations you had with aunties and uncles around.
What I've realized is that back home, and I say back home, I'm talking about Africa, everybody's trying to kill everybody to prosper. That's the concept they have there. I must sacrifice this person in order to be higher. So this one must die, I will elevate. I should make this human sacrifice, I must elevate. And whether we believe it's true or real, we have to understand that our parents have seen that when they were younger and as they were growing. So to them, prosperity is sacrifice. So when you bring the concept of insurance to a parent and say, do you know what, mom or dad, I think that you need to get cover for me and my siblings to benefit later on, in their head they're like, this boy this girl is really trying to flog me. You know, after all, in Texas, you know, and California, parents were putting their children in washing machines.
What?
For life insurance money.
Oh.
Check it out. That's why in this country, life insurance is illegal. You can't have life insurance for children here.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. Check it out. People were killing their children, putting them in washing machine for money. It's wild.
So that has built on people's fear of getting a policy in place. Yeah.
Absolutely.
For some people, prosperity means sacrifice.
Yeah.
How do you tackle that? Or how do you not even tackle that, but how do you educate people who that's all they know? Because there might be a young child watching, it's not young, but there might be a child here watching and they want to talk to their parent about, you know, policies, and that's the kind of angle that their parent is coming at. How would you advise them to have that conversation?
To be honest with you, with young people that have this in mind, but you know your parents will take it in the wrong way, I would say it's better to draw them in slowly, you know, and encourage them with materials. Do you understand? So get materials, reading materials, things that speak about the essence of insurance. Bring it to them. If they can't read it for them and say, Mom, do you know what? Someone gave me this, or I saw this online. I think it to be something that you might want to look into. Leave it with them. Then maybe come back, because you have to sow the seed when the mind is ready to receive it. Do you understand? When the ground is fertile. So you can't just sow the seed just like that. So you have to take time.
Take time.
Yeah.
So we did an Insta Live and we had a few questions come through. So we're going to do a Q&A with a few of those questions from the Insta Live that we did. Let's define a roadman first.
Okay, cool. So from what I know, it's someone that is an outlaw.
What's an outlaw?
Right. Okay, let me retract that. I don't think it's someone that's an outlaw. I think someone that's doing illegal activity on the roads, which could lead to death. In other words, if you're selling drugs and or you're living a lifestyle of drillings, as we've heard, young people love drilling and quenging and all that stuff.
Quenging.
So, you know, that kind of lifestyle is what we're talking about. So I think that's what a roadman. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool. So should those young people, because most of them are young, like 16, 15.
But then you even
they're
have
just
ones
very
that are
tall.
Yeah, very tall. You even have the ones that are older, but they maybe do a 9 to 5, but still do whatever on the side.
So before we go on to the 9 to 5 one,
yeah,
the full-time roadmen, the people that live high-risk lifetime full-time,
can they get insurance?
can they get insurance? I think because being a roadman isn't an official job title, considering insurance would be wise.
Yeah.
You know, considering it would be wise, because you know that the possibility, you know what you're doing will lead or could lead or may lead in you harming or you being harmed. The wisest thing to do is to not put your family in a position where if something does happen to you, they have to go and look for money. And one thing I've actually noticed is that I've been to many funerals, right? And people don't actually cry because most of the time because of the loss of the person. It's because of the pain of the financial loss. That's what I've realized. Because that's what gets to people. It's not I've lost a person that's close to me only. It's I've lost a person that's close to me and I have to pay X amount of money
The stress that's
for
coming
this.
with it.
Yeah, they're seeing the stress that's coming with that loss. Remember, when you have a family, you're married, your wife, your husband, that person is an asset to you at that time. If that person stops functioning, they become a liability. Because an asset gives and a liability retracts, it takes. So if you have a wife and she doesn't have life insurance and something happens to her and she dies, she's a liability, unfortunately.
So should a roadman have insurance? Should he consider?
I think it's wise for you to consider it.
Okay. No. So no credit checks are done when you are taking out insurance. It's not an investment. It's a payment plan, essentially. There's no contract. You're not tied in. There's no cash in value at the end either, unless obviously you pass away if you have a life cover, for example, but you can't cash in that policy at any time. So no, there's no credit check, and yes, it's like a payment plan. Next question.
Well, for me, I think the best age to have insurance would be 18 plus. Once you turn 18, you're mature. You know, you can work, have a bank account, all of that stuff. Then yeah.
The younger you are, the better it is in terms of the benefit that's paid out to you.
It's the opposite of car insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. With car insurance, the younger you are, the more expensive it is, which means the less experience you have. But with health insurance or life insurance, the younger you are, they see you as more of an asset. It's less likely for something to happen, and then it's cheaper.
So that's all we have time for. But make sure you join us in the next episode of Money Matters. And most importantly, make sure you like, subscribe. And if you have any other questions that you'd like to send to myself or Max, as you would have seen for the whole episode, our emails are somewhere along here at the bottom. You can contact us at any time for any information. And again, thank you for joining us at Money Matters.